in January 2022. In 2022, 18.1% of renter households in the financial district where we're standing right now, or FIDI, spent more than half of their income or their household income on rent. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a full walking tour of FIDI here in New York City to discover and find out, is it worth spending more than half of your household income to live in FIDI? Now, we're currently starting off the tour right outside of the 9/11 Memorial Museum, as well as the Oculus. But we're going to be exploring much more than this. We're going to be going down to Wall Street, taking a walk down on Broad Street to see the very famous Wall Street Bull. We'll go on Broad Street and in front of the New York Stock Exchange and see the famous attraction of the Fearless Girl. But here, if we were to cross, you're going to have the two beautiful reflecting pools in observance of the 9/11 tragedies. It's a beautiful, beautiful area over here. I'll point the camera up towards the sky again, and you see the beautiful One World Trade Center. And you also have the campus of BMCC, which is the Borough of Manhattan Community College, which sits right here. Seems to be pretty busy today. The weather's getting nicer, everybody's out. It's roughly 2:30 in the afternoon here in New York. Now, to give you some interesting stats about home prices and average rents down here, in terms of March 2025 data, so this just dropped, the average rent for a studio in the financial district was $3,650 a month. If you want to upgrade to a one-bedroom apartment, it's going to run you an average of $4,664. And if you need space for a family, if you need to rent a three-bedroom apartment, the average rent for a three-bedroom apartment here in FIDI is $8,262 per month. If you want to dip into the market to try to purchase a property, well, you're going to have to cough up over $1 million, because in January of 2025, the median list price for a home in FIDI was roughly $1.4 million, with the median price per square foot just a hair over $1,300 a square foot. There is a lot of new development down here. One of the places that we're going to point out just so happens to be the most famous and the largest office to apartment condo conversion in the city's history. And that address is 1 Wall Street. The developer on that deal is Harry Macalo. But pretty soon, the city is going to have a brand new conversion project that is going to be the largest in New York City history and in the history of the United States of America. And that is going to be the old Pfizer office headquarters located on 42nd Street, very close to Grand Central Terminal, as well as the Chrysler Building. It's going to be about a half of a city block. Pfizer actually moved and relocated to the Hudson Yards, to those beautiful Class A office towers. And now we're going to get a lot of new product, which is good. Coming up on Church Street here. If we continue to walk this way, we'll hit into Fulton Street. That's one of the main transit hubs, the Fulton Street subway terminal, which unfortunately has kind of fallen into disrepair. A lot of the shops have closed down, unfortunately, in there. This is the Museum of Art and Technology on the corner of Cortlandt Way and Church Street. And into the distance, you're looking up into the Tribeca neighborhood of New York, which is one of the most desirable neighborhoods to live in, which is much, much more expensive than living in FIDI. You could see 56 Leonard, or the Jenga building in the distance. Here you have the Millennium Hotel. This hotel has really good views of the Hudson River, as well as One World Trade Center or Freedom Tower. And here we have the Oculus. Westfield is the main operator of the Oculus. And there's tons of shops, tons of restaurants in here. And it's also a major transit hub. You can get the subway and you can get the PATH train all the way out to New Jersey. So if you live in Jersey City or Hoboken, New Jersey, and you need to commute into Lower Manhattan to go to work, well, you would come right through here. It's pretty easy. We're not going to do a full walking tour around the Oculus today. Maybe I'll save that for another video, but I do want to take you inside just so you can see what it's like in there. It has a huge Apple store, and it's pretty cool. It's a good thing to come to, and maybe one thing to do if the weather's kind of crummy in New York. You can kind of come in here and walk around. Now, architecturally speaking, the Oculus was built to resemble the wings of a dove, kind of signaling peace after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. It's pretty cool, right? If you were to walk all the way under by the PATH train, it'll connect across West Street and bring you right to the Hudson River, in which case you have one of the big headquarters of Wall Street megabank Goldman Sachs at 200 West Street. We're now going to walk up Day Street. And then we will make a right. And I want to show you Zuccotti Park, which is really famous for the very start of the Occupy Wall Street protest movement. If you remember that post the financial crisis of 2008, 2009. One of my favorite buildings of all time in FiDi is a condo building called 130 William. If you're thinking about moving to FiDi, it's a great building to rent in. All types of amenities, basketball court, indoor swimming pool, sauna, a gym. It's a really, really unique building, and it's very architecturally pleasing as well. Here's the main Fulton Street Center. Right here, you can get the ACE, JZ, RW 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 trains. But we're actually going to head southbound on Broadway. And this will lead us to the cross street of Wall Street. Another stop on our tour today will be the Federal Reserve Building in New York, which has some of the largest gold deposits in the world right here in Lower Manhattan. Okay, here we are, Liberty Street, and we are at Zuccotti Park. Once again, this is the main area of the Occupy Wall Street protests. There's a really good mini documentary series that was done by Reason TV. The host was Peter Schiff, the founder and CEO of Euro Pacific Capital and Euro Pacific Bank, as well as Schiff Gold. The mini documentary series is called I Am the 1%. Once again, you can take a look at that on YouTube. It's a really great mini documentary to watch, and it is filmed right here. You'll see all the people protesting all the major Wall Street banks during the Occupy movement. So once again, I Am the 1%. A Reason TV production on YouTube. We're going to make a temporary left on Cedar Street, just because I want to take you to the Federal Reserve. This is the Brown Brothers Harriman. And you also have JP Morgan Chase up here as well. But you know, over the years, a lot of the major Wall Street banks have been moving their headquarters away from Lower Manhattan. I would say most recently Deutsche Bank, which is a German investment bank, has moved their headquarters from 60 Wall Street to the former Time Warner Center. Now, the Time Warner Center was constructed and built by the Related Group. And before it was the Time Warner AOL Center, it was the Manhattan Convention Center. And when they built the Jacob Javits Center on 34th Street, there was really no use for the Manhattan Convention Center. And it kind of turned into kind of like a ratty neighborhood, honestly, right on Central Park, which is pretty surprising. But Related took a big risk, developed the AOL Time Warner Center. Fast forward to today, Deutsche Bank now takes over the building, and it is called Deutsche Bank Towers. You also have a 5-star hotel in there too, the Mandarin Oriental, New York. Okay, this is now 28 Liberty. But the building in question is this building right here. What you're looking at now is the Federal Reserve. This building has the world's largest gold deposits, many, many stories underground. Right on the corner of Liberty Street, if any of you have seen the movie Money Monster, the famous scene with George Clooney is filmed quite literally right here, where we're standing overlooking the cross streets of Liberty Street and Nassau Street. You can see right here. You can see all the cameras, all the security. You even see the Federal Reserve Police right outside the building too. Really cool piece of history to see. Okay, what we're going to do now is get back on Nassau Street, but I'm going to make a left. And this is going to bring us into Broad Street, and you're going to see the very famous New York Stock Exchange. Now, I used to work down here. My office was 82 Wall Street, and that is now no longer an office. It is the Wall Street Hotel, which just so happens to be the original location of the Buttonwood Agreement. And if you're a big finance junkie like I am, if you ever get the opportunity to go inside the New York Stock Exchange, ask them to take you to see the original Buttonwood Agreement document. They do have it there on display, but you have to ask them to see it. And this is the backside of Federal Hall. Now, unfortunately for Federal Hall, there's going to be scaffolding all over this place for the next 8 years as they do significant restoration work on the facade and structural and foundational work. Obviously, the Federal Hall is where George Washington was first inaugurated as the first president of the United States of America. So 2 thumbs up for George Washington. Okay, here we are. Look at this. The beautiful New York Stock Exchange right here on the corner of Wall Street and Broad Street. Now, there's not a whole lot of trading activity that goes on down here anymore. There is market-making activity on the physical floor of the New York Stock Exchange, but a mere fraction of what it once was, right? Ever since we got computers, we could pretty much do everything remotely, algorithmic trading, and the like. There's really no use anymore for floor brokers. I'm not going to say no use at all, but less and less use for actual floor brokers. You know, way back in the day, people used to run around the floor of the New York Stock Exchange like crazy, buying and selling stocks with physical pieces of paper. That no longer happens anymore for obvious reasons. So it's now really a studio for CNBC and a beautiful historical site as a beacon of American exceptionalism and capitalism, free and fair markets. And here you have Federal Hall. I actually used to eat lunch sitting on the stairs of Federal Hall, but unfortunately, as I've mentioned before, it is going to be encased in scaffolding for the next 8 years as they move forward with the 10-year restoration project. If you kind of see all the tourists here gathering around, they are gathering around the Fearless Girl, which used to be located right in front of the Charging Bull on Broadway, but now they've moved her here. This is also where they usually have the Wall Street Christmas tree, the New York Stock Exchange Christmas tree during the holidays, and it looks great. One more look at the stock exchange and we'll be on our way with the tour. Now, many of these buildings surrounding the stock exchange used to be banks, broker-dealers, and the like, many of which have now been converted into apartments and condos. Lower Manhattan has the largest, I should say, cluster of office to residential conversion in the city. And that mainly has to do with zoning regulations. At the very end of Wall Street, you're going to see arguably one of the most famous churches in the United States of America. This is Trinity Church at the very tail end of Wall Street. Now this building right here in the background, this is One Wall Street, developed by legendary New York City real estate developer Harry Macklow. And currently this building stands as the largest office to residential conversion project in the city's history, right here. About 580 units in the building. Ultra luxury. If you've heard of the building 432 Park Avenue, Harry actually included the same exact finishes and the fixtures of the kitchens at 432 in every single residence at One Wall Street. Now, as we mentioned before, the new Pfizer project on 42nd Street is now going to dethrone One Wall Street as the largest residential or office to residential conversion project in the city. I'll take you to the main entrance of One Wall Street here. Now, to be fair and to be blunt, this project isn't selling that well. So if you're thinking about moving down here and maybe you want to score a deal, check out One Wall Street because you could probably get a pretty significant discount. Maybe the developer will throw in the transfer taxes or the mansion taxes as they try to move product. But it's a beautiful building. I mean, the Art Deco design, the flair is really amazing. The pool overlooks the Statue of Liberty. It's an unbelievable project. And right outside your door is the 4 to 5 trains, which will take you up town further into Manhattan. You also have a Whole Foods literally right in your building. Okay, we're now going to head towards Exchange Place, but we're going to go all the way to the end and run right into the Charging Bull. But there's a lot of revitalization in the financial district. There's a lot of new things to do, really fun stuff. I would say my favorite thing about this neighborhood is the close proximity to the seaport, particularly South Street Seaport. Wow, there looks to be a ton of people here today trying to get a glimpse of the charging bull. So if you think it's crowded now, just imagine how crowded it was when the Fearless Girl was right here. Now this park and this fence right here dates back to the Revolutionary War. This is Bowling Green Park. And if you notice right here, at the very tops of the fence, there used to be the king on top of here. But back in the day, we melted them down. Well, we took them off, melted them down, and made them into bullets to fight the British. So pretty cool fact, if you come here, look at the tops of all these. There used to be a little emblem of the king there. This is also the subway terminal here at Bowling Green. You can get the 4 and the 5 trains. And we're pretty close to the South Street Seaport as well, and South Ferry. So South Ferry is the terminal where you can get the Staten Island ferry. It is also the last stop on the 1 train. And in the distance, you can see Battery Park. They're actually redoing all of Battery Park, and it's going to be amazing. So that's kind of another perk that you get from living in FiDi or the Financial District, Lower Manhattan. You're going to be able to take advantage of a brand new Battery Park. There's great views of the Statue of Liberty over here. But we'll head back towards Wall Street.
drive us like 10 hours. I said, well, we had a good steak dinner when we got there. Nice breakfast. It's really nice to have. There you go.
One of my favorite coffee shops is close to here. It's called Black Fox Coffee. It's right behind the old Deutsche Bank, actually. There's another good coffee shop, La Colombe. It's right on Wall Street. When I used to work down here, I used to go there all the time. But I'm never down here that much anymore, as my office has moved to 57th Street in Madison. If you were to make this left on Beaver Street, that would take you, or from Beaver Street, that'll take you right back to the New York Stock Exchange, where we were on Broad Street. Now, the best bagel place, in my opinion, of all time in the city, maybe, should I take you there? I think it's a little bit too far away, but it's called Leo's Bagels in Hanover Square. So if you're down in Fidei and you want the best bagel in New York City, check out Leo's Bagels. You know, the buildings down here are so close together that it seems dark when you're on the street, but it's a beautiful sunny day in Manhattan. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous out. And we're about to be on William Street. Okay, we'll make a quick detour. Oh, this is a great steakhouse, by the way. This is Delmonico's. This place is great. If you're looking for a really good steakhouse to come to in Lower Manhattan, check out Delmonico's. Okay, here you have it. Leo's Bagels. This used to be my spot back in the day. So jot that down as a little piece of advice. If you're visiting New York City, check out Leo's Bagels right here. Fresh hand-rolled bagels. They've actually expanded the overall store. When I was coming down here, it used to be so small. It used to be this teeny little hole-in-the-wall place. But now it's much bigger. This is the famous Stone Street. Oftentimes after work, and particularly during the summer, this place will be absolutely packed with tables and chairs and picnic benches and lights. Everybody having a good time, having a drink at the bars. This is a very fun place to come. So if you're visiting New York in the summer, maybe on a Friday night, take the subway down to Stone Street. Enjoy a drink, maybe at Ulysses. Have some oysters. There's also a good lobster place down here, Luke's Lobster. And it's very pretty. These are the original Belgian block streets of New York City. Let's check out some of the specials. Lobster Monday all day. 1.5 pounds of live Maine lobster, $26. And then Wednesday oysters, a half dozen oysters in a pint for 21 bucks. I don't know if that's a good deal or not, but check it out. This is Stone Street Tavern. Mad Dog and Beans Mexican restaurant. This is now Pearl Street. You have Nara, which is a sushi spot. We'll loop around and go back.
Ese tubo de respirar.
And now we're close to Water Street. So if we were to make a right, that'll land us on Water Street, which I've also worked there for a very short while at 77 Water Street. Here's Harry's Steak. This is 10 Hanover Square. This was a conversion project also, so this is now rentals. And this will merge us right back to Wall Street. We'll check on the construction project outside of the old Deutsche Bank at 60 Wall. Oh, they have a Lenwich here. This is actually a pretty good spot. You have the Wall Street Grill. Pretty cool mural of the charging bull right there. So this building right in front of us is now the Wall Street Hotel. I think it's a 4-star hotel. And I used to work in this building before it got converted, 82 Wall Street. And right on the corner here, you'll see the plaque in a minute, is where the original Buttonwood Agreement was signed. So right here you can see the Buttonwood Agreement in 1792. Right here where you're standing, the Buttonwood Agreement was officially signed and executed, establishing the first ever New York Stock Exchange. At the time, the coffee house stood right at this site and served its first official home. Pretty cool. And then in the distance, you can see all of downtown Brooklyn. Here's the Joe and the Juice, and when I pan the camera up, amongst all this scaffolding is the old Deutsche Bank, 60 Wall Street.
I mean, especially today.
Deutsche Bank is now at the Time Warner Center. Well, if you enjoyed this walking tour, feel free to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more New York City walking tours. And if you're thinking about moving to Lower Manhattan and purchasing a property and you need some help, reach out to me at the email address below, and I would be more than happy to help you and your family score the perfect deal right here in the financial district. Thanks so much for watching.